Cardano is one of my favorite L1s in all of crypto, but here are 3 of the biggest things I think it needs to start tackling or completely tackle in 2024 in order to reach the highest version of what we're trying to get Cardano to be. I've beat up on other cryptos in previous videos, and I think it's Cardano's turn because every chain has great things and things it needs to work on, and here are 3 things Cardano definitely needs to work on. The first thing is going to be the centralized multi-sig, aka the 7 keys of Cardano that are currently held by Cardano Foundation, IOG, and Emergo. If you're not familiar with the 7 keys of Cardano, basically these keys allows these 3 big companies that essentially created Cardano or are in charge of Cardano, it allows them the opportunity to push out parameter style changes, not hard forks, but parameter changes without approval from any stake pool operators or any delegators or anyone else in Cardano. This is a major point of centralization, and a big thing that people say is one of the things that can be a downfall for Cardano. And believe me, I completely agree. I agree that having 7 centralized multi-sig keys is no benefit to Cardano, especially when Cardano focuses on security and decentralization as its 2 things in the blockchain trilemma that it does really, really well. Narratives like this push people to think that Charles Hoskinson is in control of Cardano, or the Cardano Foundation or IOG is all in control of Cardano. But there are a couple things happening this year in 2024 that have the ability to wipe this narrative clean, and I would love to see this narrative go away and Cardano to move into its government building era. The major thing happening this year on Cardano is its Voltaire era, specifically Cardano Improvement Proposal CIP 1694. What CIP 1694 is currently trying to do for Cardano is bring government to Cardano, bring democracy, and allow delegators to vote with D-reps and have a constitution and a constitutional committee so that we can form a government on Cardano that allows us to vote on how things are going to change for the blockchain itself and ultimately allow us to destroy the 7 keys of Cardano. CIP 1694 is introducing 2 parties to Cardano, a constitutional committee which will enforce the constitution of Cardano, which is going to be written this year as a draft mode, I think, and then further enabled in 2025 and further on. But we're going to have a constitutional committee and we're going to have D representative. You can think of a D rep kind of as like a politician where they have stakers stake to them. So if I got 1,000 ADA, I can stake to a D-rep, or I can be a D-rep, especially with my YouTube channel. Maybe I can be a D-rep, right? But essentially, you will take your ADA and stake it, or vote it behind a D representative that has your same philosophies in mind. If they decide to change their philosophies or not vote with philosophies that you have, you can simply move your stake to a different D rep and follow them to let their vote have more weight. Think of D reps as politicians, but when the politicians don't do what you ask them to do or what they said they were going to do, they lose your stake and lose their voting power. Essentially, this is Cardano's governance era coming alive, and it brings checks and balances between a constitutional committee enforcing the constitution of Cardano and D representatives that are voting to make things happen. D reps, when they vote, will have 3 options. They can approve something, they can say no, which essentially means that they don't agree with the constitutional committee and they want a change in who's on the committee, or they can abstain from voting and just not make a yes or a no. In 2024, when all of this government building governance era in Cardano comes to life, this will balance the checks and balances of what the stake pools are doing and who's allowed to vote. With the CIP 1694 and the Voltaire era coming to Cardano, we are going to be able to remove this idea of the 7 keys of Cardano and take those, destroy them, and allow people on Cardano ADA holders to actually vote for what's going on chain and what hard forks are going to go or what changes to the blockchain are going to happen. While the 7 keys still exist on Cardano, I think it's very, very important to note that the 7 keys can only push parameter changes. If something like a hard fork were to go off on Cardano and the 7 key holders, the 3 big companies controlling those 7 keys, pushed a hard fork, stake pool operators still have the ability to not upgrade to that hard fork or not choose that hard fork, essentially making the hard fork useless and keeping the current state of Cardano as the current longest chain, the current accepted Cardano chain. So the 7 keys are there. They're a point of centralization, but 2024 is the year that Cardano is ready to remove those 7 keys and put the ADA holders in charge and build the government of Cardano. Very exciting stuff, and I really think this is something that's going to be huge in the crypto community. Cardano innovated the best way to do staking, and I would love for it to build the best version of governance and government in the crypto world. The second biggest thing Cardano needs to work on in 2024 is blockchain speed. Now, I know Cardano's focused on decentralization and security, but blockchain speed is forever going to be important. This is why blockchains like Solana, Nano, ICP, all these different blockchains are getting a lot of attention because they go super fast. People want to go fast. They don't want to wait. We're used to free 2-day, 1-day shipping. We're ready for things to be delivered to our car outside right now. We need things to go fast. And I want to talk about what Cardano is doing to try and go faster in order to break this narrative that it's a slow blockchain. The current metrics of Cardano is that it has an 88 kilobyte block size. We're doing about 3 transactions per second when you look at blockchain explorers. But the thing is, those blocks are not even full blocks. We're doing about 40% full blocks. So right now, Cardano is doing about 6 transactions per second. Now, I'm not going to get into the argument of TPS being a non-linear metric for UTXO-based blockchains, but TPS is a common thing people look at, so we're going to look at it. We're doing about 6 TPS. But I want to also talk about the things that Cardano has currently done to make the blockchain faster. Cardano has already started putting in the infrastructure to increase the speed of its blockchain by introducing pipelining, which is increasing the speed that a block traverses the Cardano network that's already implemented. We have Plutus V2 scripts, which are making transaction sizes and therefore transaction fees lower. And then we also have Hydra implemented, which can be thought of as like a native layer 2 to the Cardano blockchain, but it's just not open all the time. Developers have the ability to open a Hydra head and have this layer 2 capability until they're also ready to close it. So it's not like an open layer 2 solution like an Optimism or an Arbitrum or a ZK Snark or something like that. But Hydra is like a developer's version of the L2, but it's still available on Cardano to make things faster and more efficient. All of these things are great for Cardano's infrastructure and allowing it to get faster. At any point in time, Cardano can increase its block size and therefore increase the capacity of what can happen on chain. But block size is only something that can go bigger. It can't be reduced. So Cardano is trying to build this infrastructure of speed generating attributes so that after we build all this, then we can think about increasing block size and doing it appropriately step by step. Plutus V2 scripts, pipelining, and Hydra are 3 great things that are helping to increase this blockchain speed, but they're not showcasing what the people want to see. They're not like the 100 transactions per second or the 1,000,000 transactions per second, mostly because a lot of people haven't updated to Plutus V2 scripts, and probably not a lot of people are using Hydra heads. These are relatively new things, and they're going to take some time to get implemented on a developer level. A lot of devs that have built dApps did it on Plutus V1 scripts and haven't really migrated to Plutus V2 scripts. So I expect the DeFi community to continue to improve, get Plutus V2 scripts, and then hopefully start implementing Hydra heads. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to implement a Hydra head or don't know what to use it for. So use cases are still being built out for this stuff. The thing that's going to make Cardano the fastest version of itself is input endorsers. Now, we're going to talk about input endorsers, but input endorsers probably will not be implemented till 2025, after Cardano's Voltaire SIP 1694 governance era goes into effect, because the people want to be able to vote on something like input endorsers. But how an input endorser works is right now Cardano has 20-second block time. So every 20 seconds, the nodes work, the computers work, they do a lot of validating and processing and push a transaction to the consensus layer. That happens once every 20 seconds. Now, those 19 seconds in between, the nodes and the computers are doing absolutely nothing. But input endorsers says that let's fill those 20 seconds or 19 seconds with some work. So input endorsers is going to let Cardano build transactions, build blocks, build these things in between each 20 seconds and push massive amounts of blocks at once every 20 seconds. It does this through 3 types of blocks that are going to go off at different intervals. But we have input blocks, which is taking transactions and bundling them together. We have endorsement blocks, which is validating that these transactions are correct and that these input blocks are correct against other nodes, right? And then lastly, we have ranking blocks, which takes the blocks that are being built in those 19 seconds in between and pushing them to the consensus layer on the 20th second in proper successive orders. This sounds a little confusing, but essentially the simplest version of what you need to know is that every 20 seconds we get a ranking block. In between there, we're going to do a lot of input blocks, and then we're going to mash those input blocks up into an endorsement block saying that every transaction in all those input blocks are correct, being endorsed by the other node. So every node on Cardano is going to be working every 20 seconds, the full 20 seconds, instead of only processing one block at a time every 20 seconds like it does now. So when input endorsers come into effect on Cardano, you can expect a much faster, much more capable blockchain that is pushing massive batches of transactions every 20 seconds. This will make it much faster than it currently is, and it will actually be kind of like a native layer 2 scaling solution compared to what we're doing now. The third biggest concern for Cardano is going to be its closed source applications. Now, there's a huge debate in crypto of whether decentralized systems should have open source, code bases, or like if all the DeFi apps on it also need to be open source, or if closed source is acceptable. Now, Cardano's main layer, its base L1, is definitely open source, but all of the DeFi apps and the wallets are still continuing to be closed source. This has been a major point of argumentation among people really pushing for decentralization, and technically both sides are kind of correct. People on the side of the closed source applications are stating that we don't want a lot of copycat DeFi protocols, copycat wallets, copycat NFT and meme projects on Cardano, so we're going to keep everything closed source and let people figure it out for themselves. Open source projects take the idea that competition is good. We want to show that we're decentralized and we're an application that is fair and easy and welcoming to use, that is highly secure, that cannot be broken. We also want our code base to be open source so other developers can look at it and make sure we didn't miss anything, that there's no bugs. So there are going to be people that use both types of applications, and neither one is technically right. People in the Cardano community are asking, why so many closed source applications? Why are we accepting so many closed source applications? And really, it's up to the Cardano users, the ADA holders, to use whatever they feel like, and that will promote which projects get the most money in transaction fees and which ones are the most popular. If you are choosing to buy NFTs that from non-doxed people and use DeFi apps that use closed source batching and use wallets that are not open source, you are promoting a chain of those things. If you're choosing to only purchase NFT projects that have doxed founders and DeFi applications that use open, decentralized off-chain batchers that anyone can run, and wallets like Nami that are open source, then you are promoting a chain of those things. I think both have the ability to survive and thrive. Me personally, I like my wallets open sourced and my DeFi open sourced, and NFTs kind of like, I don't really care because it's just a picture, right? Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that some people think closed source is a problem for Cardano and for DeFi and for decentralization. I think that there are going to be closed source and open source projects, and you just got to know what you're using, why you're using it, and make good decisions. I wouldn't recommend using closed source wallets. I wouldn't recommend using closed source lending protocols, but maybe you can gamble on a closed source NFT project or something like that. These are the three things on Cardano that are the biggest changes needed to make in 2024. I think we're going to see a lot of improvement, and I'm very excited for the government era of Cardano to get under full swing with a constitution and with voting and with digital representatives and with meetups and all these things. I think that's going to be a great innovation for the crypto space, and I would love for Cardano to be at the forefront of running this governance era in a new way. Doing the research for this video really got me excited again and very interested and really proud of what Cardano is doing in the space. So I think these are three things that are going to be worked on in 2024, and I have big expectations of how they're going to be handled in 2024 and in 2025 during this bull market. And I think once these things start getting tackled, government gets pushed into Cardano and input endorsers gets pushed in, I think Cardano will become much more resilient to all the things and will be much better at every aspect of the crypto space and the blockchain trilemma. If you love Cardano and you want an awesome Cardano t-shirt, please check the pinned comment down below. There's going to be an awesome Cardano t-shirt that I really love on there that if you want to help support the channel, feel free to go buy it. Other than that, we hope you love Cardano. Maybe check it out. Maybe check out SIP1694, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.